Hello Muggle World! And in this video, I am going to be reacting slash debunking 30 different, 30, mother of, it is the intro and I already can't do this. Let's try this again. Hello Muggle World! And in this video, I am going to be reacting slash debunking 30 Harry Potter theories that are out on the internet right now. Number 30. The Marauders left the Marauders map in Filch's office on purpose. I can see where this theory came from, but I'm gonna debunk this. So what happened, and all of my stuff that I say is canon, either in the books or on the writings on Pottermore. And the writings by the author, not by the fans. So by the author, writings that were on Pottermore that is now Wizarding World, I can debunk this. So what happened was they snuck out, got in over their heads, and Severus, who was trying to take them down, tipped Filch off, and Filch found it and confiscated it from them. And they've tried to get it back, but were never successful because Filch kept a very watchful eye on it. And eventually, towards the end of their 7th year, because the map got taken from them in their 7th year, so at the end of their 7th year, they just kind of stopped caring about it and moved on to real world problems instead of in school dumb marauder stuff. On that note, I could kind of see this being possible. Not true, but I wouldn't put it past them. Number 29. The Pensieve, the Veil, and the Mirror of Erised are also Deathly Hallows. I could see how that would work. It's not true. There are only 3 Deathly Hallows because Death himself made the Elder Wand, the cloak, and the ring. So that's why they are the Deathly Hallows, because Death himself made them, and Death did not make those other objects. But I kind of like this one. I actually really do, but again, it's not true because Death himself made the Deathly Hallows and he didn't make the other 3. 28. The Resurrection Stone doesn't bring people back to life. Yeah, it doesn't. Death never made it to. So it doesn't. Which is why when the Peveril brother used it and he brought his once beloved back to life, she wasn't fully there. She wasn't fully herself because she didn't belong there. She never actually was like, come back to life and then she died all over again. She was never actually truly back to life. And when Harry uses it in the forest, it brings them back to see them, but they don't rise from the dead. So yeah, that's actually true. It doesn't actually bring people back to life. It just gives you kind of like a veil to talk to people on the other side and to bring them in front of you, but not actually back to life. So that's true. Yeah, that's true. 27. A thriving black market below the Wizarding World sounds plausible. Of course it sounds plausible, because it's true. Literally, read the books, it's true. That's where Mundungus gets all his money from. Literally. He lives on stealing things and selling them on the black market. That's what he does. Yes, it's 100% true, and it's in the books, especially in Order of the Phoenix. So, of course it's plausible. It's an actual fact. 26. Draco Malfoy's 6th year behavior signaled that he could be a werewolf. Oh, here we go. Okay, you're gonna talk about how he was really pale and didn't look very good, that he was sick all year, but if you had a job to kill one of the most powerful people in the Wizarding World, and one of the other most powerful people in the Wizarding World was threatening to kill you if you didn't, I'm pretty sure you'd be feeling sick too. Okay, he did not go hiding for full moons. He was not in the hospital wing. He did not have bites and scratches on him. He did not take Wolfsbane potion. He was looking sick and ill and extremely pale because his life was on the line. Of course he was sick looking and really pale and out of sorts. I mean, you're telling me you wouldn't be? 25. Harry and Sirius are related. Of course this is true. It's canon. All of the, like, I think even Sirius says it himself in Order of the Phoenix. All of the pureblood lines are connected. All of them. Like, literally, the Malfoys, the Blacks, the Potters, Potters, the Peverils, the Weasleys, all of them. Any pureblood family is related to another pureblood family. So that's not even a theory, that's actual fact. They are distantly related. 24. Arthur Weasley was most likely the creator of the magical clock. You know, I never thought about it, but I could actually see this being a true thing. It's never actually said, but the way that Arthur Weasley likes to tinker with muggle things and it's a magical family and everything, and nobody else seems to have this clock, I could totally see Arthur Weasley being the one who actually made the Weasley's clock. And I'll be honest, I love this theory. I love this theory so much, it's probably going to be canon in my head now. In the books, I can't say that it is. But in my own head, that's honestly my new favorite canon. Arthur Weasley made the clock. 23. Ron Weasley is a seer, but he doesn't know it. I can definitely see where people are coming from on this one. There's a lot of coincidences and a lot of things that Ron says that actually do come true in later books, but that's kind of what happened in Harry Potter, is one thing happens and then it comes true again. But I have to debunk this. So, a seer, if we know by Trelawney's, and I know that she's not seer so much, but she does have at least 2 real predictions, and her mother or grandmother was actually a seer as well. So how I'm going to debunk this is, to be an actual seer, you need to go into a trance-like state, and you need to, it almost comes out in rhymes and riddles, and Ron never does that. He's just taking guesses, and his guesses just happen to be right. I think he's just really intuitive, but he's not a seer, because if he was a true seer and he was actually seeing what was happening in the future, he would completely space out. He would break out into like some sort of riddle or rhyme, and he doesn't. 22. Neville has the wrong wand, leading to his poor magical skills. Again, this is also canon. This is also true. I don't know why this is a theory. This is actually in the books. McGonagall herself says it. So I don't know why this is a theory. I'm wondering if it's maybe somebody who only watched the movies who made the theory, but it's in the books. It's true. He uses his dad's wand, and so he's not as well because it's his dad's wand. And then when he gets his own, he has really improved his magic. So it's canon information. I don't know why this is a theory. 21. Bill and Percy Weasley use the time turners for their workload. There's no canon fact, but I would 100% believe this is true. Also, Barty Crouch Jr. I would completely believe that that is 100% true, because Hermione scored, I believe, an 11, and she had the time turner, and then Percy, Bill, and I believe Barty Crouch Jr. all scored 12. And there'd be like no way that was possible unless they did exactly what Hermione did. So, actual canon fact, I don't know. But this theory actually holds up and makes a lot of sense. So, I would personally say it's probably true, but it's not canon, so I don't actually know if it is, but it makes a lot of sense, and I would say it was true. 20. Dumbledore uses the chocolate frog cards as a network. This is another one that's not canon, but he does say some interesting things that make me think this possibly actually could be things. A thing, oh my word. Because he talks about how he has his ways and everything when communicating with the Order of the Phoenix, and he kind of knows everything about everyone, so it would make sense for me that he would use cards. Plus, if we look at Order of the Phoenix, not Dumbledore's Order of the Phoenix, the book Order of the Phoenix, Hermione makes fake galleons to communicate with the DA, so I could completely see it as Dumbledore making his chocolate frog cards able to communicate with the different Order members. That actually makes a lot of sense, and I could completely see him doing it. Plus, he even says, I have ways of communicating. but he doesn't really like get into how. But I can completely see that being one of the ways that he does it. 19. Mrs. Norris is an animagus living in cat form permanently. I don't know how I feel about this one. I could see it being true all because of Peter Pettigrew, because he lived as a rat for 12 years. And I could see it being true. I don't know how I feel about it though. Because she is very smart and she tends to know things more than a typical cat would, but that also could lead me to believe that she's a Kneazle, because Kneazles are very intelligent cats, and Crookshanks is actually half Kneazle, so I could see Mrs. Norris being a full Kneazle because they are like really, really intelligent cats. So I'm kind of wishy-washy on this one. Because of Peter Pettigrew, I could completely see why this would be a real thing, but also part of me just believes that she's just probably a Kneazle, but you don't actually know. It just says she's a cat, so we don't actually know what she is besides a cat. 18. Neville is the true chosen one. Debunked by the literal books and movies themselves. Voldemort went after Harry. Harry is the chosen one. Neville could have been, but he never actually was, never actually will be. It has always been Harry because Voldemort chose him. Now, the prophecy states a child born at the end of July. So it could have been either one, but Voldemort chose Harry because Harry was a half-blood like Voldemort was. So he saw him more as an equal and more as like an equal threat. So he went after Harry, therefore Harry was made the chosen one. Neville could have been, but he wasn't chosen by Voldemort, so therefore Harry was. That makes him the chosen one. So it could have been either one, but he's not the true chosen one, and he never will be because Voldemort never chose him. 17. Snape killed Hedwig to protect Harry. I can see where they're coming from. It wasn't Snape that cast that curse, it was just the Death Eater. But I could see where they came up with this because he did cast Sectum Sempra at a Death Eater and ended up missing and hitting George's ear. So I could completely see how that would be a thing. Hedwig would kind of give Harry away. She's basically the only snowy owl in the book. So I can see where they're coming from this theory. I don't hate this theory, but also it is not true. But I do see exactly where they're coming from. 16. Lily Potter owned Crookshanks first. Again, I know where people are coming from, but it is not true. Kneazles, like I said, are very smart. So Sirius communicating with Crookshanks is because Crookshanks is a Kneazle and understands things more than your typical animal would, but it's not because she knows him from somewhere. So Sirius even said himself she's a very smart cat, and that he knew exactly, he would communicate with her and tell her what Peter Pettigrew was and what Peter Pettigrew was up to, and because Crookshanks is half Kneazle, and Kneazles are very, very intelligent, he understood it completely what Sirius was talking about. So it's because he's part Kneazle that he was very, very smart and knew all these things about Pettigrew because Sirius told him. Plus, I feel like if Sirius knew it was Lily and James's cat, I feel like he probably would have mentioned that in the Shrieking Shack. He would have been like, oh, and also, did you know this cat actually used to be the Potters? Like, Sirius wouldn't hold that information from Harry. He would have outright told him. Anything to connect Harry to his parents or something, or even Lupin. To connect Harry to his parents, he would have flat out said it. But there was no oh my heck, what is this word? He didn't recognize him, so, you know, it's not true. But plus, not to mention, by the time their third year would have been around, Crookshanks would have been about 14 years old at the most, or no, sorry, at the least. It all depends on when the Potters actually got their cat. So Crookshanks wouldn't have lived as long as he did, as what I'm getting at. 15. The Dursleys don't hate Harry. The Horcruxes made them. No. Debunked by the books themselves, literally by the first chapter of the book. not to mention throughout the entire series. So in the first chapter, they already hate the Potters. They're already dissing on the Potters. They already hate Harry because of who his parents are and because he's a wizard, you know? So they already hate him for that. They didn't need him near him to already hate him. I mean, Petunia already hated her sister. Why do you think she would like her sister's son and her husband? Like, what? So, no, they hated Harry before Harry even came to live with them. Not to mention the fact that if that were true, that means that Ron, Hermione, the Weasleys, everybody in the dormitory who have spent years with Harry when he started school would be the same way, and they're not. So, the books and the movies literally debunk this. They hated Harry before he was even born. And if Harry was a Horcrux and it was, well, that was dumb. Harry is a Horcrux, so if Harry's Horcrux was affecting the Dursleys, is what I meant to say. If Harry's Horcrux was affecting the Dursleys, it would have affected everybody else around him too, and it didn't. So no, not true. Dursleys are the worst. Stop making excuses for them. 14. Luna speaks in code, mostly. Luna is a very special character. She slightly weird, very intelligent. In code, I mean, I feel like that's just the way she talks. She's a little bit whimsical and everything, so I feel like a lot of what she says just comes out a little whimsical, therefore it kind of comes out a little bit like code. So I guess I would agree with you. She does speak a bit in code, but I don't think she's like doing any deep hidden messages. I just think she has a lot of thoughts and she puts them out in a very whimsical way. But I don't think they're like hinting at anything else. I think she knows exactly what she's talking about, knows exactly what she's saying, and people know what she's saying unless she's talking about Nargles, and everybody's kind of just lost. But I feel like that's just how Luna is. She's very whimsical when she talks, and I don't think it's like code for anything deeper than what she's actually saying. But this theory's not entirely wrong because she's very different, but it's a very good different. 13. Ginny tricks Harry with a love potion. I'm going to assume this was also made by a movie watcher, not a book reader, because no, there is no way, and you would obviously, it would be so obvious to tell if she was. First of all, she would have to keep it up for the rest of their lives, and she does not have time for that. She becomes a professional Quidditch player when she leaves the school, not to mention Harry literally isn't in school for all of Deathly Hallows, so she doesn't even see him, yet he's still in love with her for then. And the effects would have worn off way, what am I trying to say? They would have worn off by then. So, no, she doesn't. But I can see where the movie people probably got that theory from, but it's really dumb. Because if you also read the books, there's a build-up to that love story. He doesn't instantly love her, and if you look at Ron, when Ron took the love potion, he was instantly in love with Romilda Vane and couldn't think of anything but her and was obsessed with her, and Harry wasn't like that. He loved her and he was interested in her, but he wasn't obsessed with her, and he wasn't all like lost in his own head constantly thinking about her. So you would obviously tell. He would be really obsessed with her, wouldn't want to leave her side, would constantly want to be around her, looking at her with lovey-dovey eyes, and she would have to keep it up for the rest of their lives. So, no. And I hate this theory, because that is a diss on Ginny and Harry, and it ruins their entire love story. So, not true, and it's ridiculous. 12. George Weasley is Willy Wonka. I hate this theory so much because, first of all, they're not even in the same universe. And second of all, taking that not into account, do you honestly think that George Weasley would get rid of the joke shop that he created with his now dead twin to go run a candy factory for no reason whatsoever? Absolutely not. He would treasure that joke shop even more now than he did before. That joke shop means practically everything to him, especially now that his brother is gone. So, no, absolutely not. 11. The tale of the three brothers repeats itself. This is actually true. It wasn't intentional, but it was actually true, and J.K. Rowling has even said it herself that the way she wrote the books, she didn't mean for it to happen, but it kind of just happened that way anyway, that it actually really does repeat itself. So this is actually a accidental canon thing that happens. So yeah, this one's completely true, and it happened completely accidentally. 10. Draco had a crush on Hermione. It's getting out of hand. And go read the books, because the movies play it better than the books do. He was so cruel to her. And you're gonna be like, guys pick on girls that they like. Yes, but that's not what he does. He is downright cruel and like seriously mean to her. He makes fun of her, he casts spells on her, he's brutal to her, he insults her as many times as he possibly can. So no, he never liked her. And for the record, he never liked Pansy Parkinson either. Pansy always kind of annoyed him. He just kept her around because it made him more popular to have more people around. But Hermione people need to stop, because this is not true, especially in the books. The books, he is a horrible person, and there's no way that he would ever like Hermione. He would never. 9. Harry Potter is Godric Gryffindor's heir. I see how this theory has been around. I can understand, because he pulled the Sword of Gryffindor out of the hat inside the Chamber of Secrets and everything, and they're like, sword appears to Gryffindor. Of course it appeared to Harry, he's the heir, but that's not how it works. So the hat was Godric Gryffindor's hat, and the sword was his sword, and so any Gryffindor could have done it. So what are you going to say about Neville? Is Neville Godric Gryffindor's heir too, because he pulled the sword out of the hat? So that's not how it works. I can see where this theory came from. I can completely understand it, but it's not true, but completely understandable. Not to mention, if you go look at the bloodline, like the Potter family tree, there's a whole family tree for the Potters. You can go all the way back on their bloodline, and they never connect to Godric Gryffindor. So 8. Neville's childhood trauma was obliviated. So what they're saying here is Neville was present at the time they were crucioing. His parents were being crucioed into insanity, and he got obliviated, which is why he has memory problems. But that's not the case. They were like, where was Neville when all this happened? But the thing is Alice and Frank Longbottom were Aurors, and they were on missions for Dumbledore, hunting down Death Eaters and everything. This was after Voldemort attacked the Potters. So they were all on Death Eater hunts and doing things like that. And Neville was actually with his grandmother, who raised him at the time, being babysat by her while all of that went down. He was never there. He was never obliviated as a kid. He was with his grandmother. His parents went out. They got driven into insanity, and he's lived with his grandmother ever since. So I don't know how I feel about this theory. I know people are like, where was he when this happened? So they kind of just brought it up like maybe he was there, and that's how they obliviated him, but he wasn't. So he was with his grandmother, and he's just a forgetful person. There's nothing more to it. It wasn't obliviation that gone wrong. He's just a forgetful person. 7. Voldemort's goal after the Triwizard Tournament was to fake being Harry. So their theory is that if Voldemort had killed Harry, his goal was to take over Harry's body with Polyjuice, like Barty Croucher Jr. did, and to go back to the school, ruin Harry's reputation, suddenly reveal himself, and then take over the world. And that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because one thing that Voldemort liked in the Order of the Phoenix book is that he could rally up allies with nobody knowing what was happening, because the Ministry was so in denial. He didn't want the world to know that he came back. Dumbledore says it himself. Other people in the Order have said it themselves. Mad Eye, Lupin. These people have all said it themselves, that Harry coming back alive was what Voldemort didn't want, because he didn't want the world to know that he was revived. But it kind of worked in his favor, because the Ministry was so in denial about it that Voldemort got away with it anyway. But no, he would not have gone back as Harry. Are you kidding me? He wanted to take over the world and everything. There's no way he would Polyjuice and pretend to be his worst enemy after he killed him. He would kill him, and then he would secretly go take over the rest of the world, but he wouldn't disguise himself as Harry and then go back to the school. It's not in his character. It is not him. There's no way he would do it. 6. Hagrid is a Death Eater. I'm sorry. What part of Hagrid says Death Eater to you? He is one of the best characters, as in like actual good person character in the story, and you're telling that's like saying Cedric Diggory will become a Death Eater. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Hagrid, who is completely loyal to Dumbledore, who absolutely loves Harry and wants what's best for Harry, is a Death Eater? Are you kidding me? No, absolutely not. 5. The 4 Narnia children are the Hogwarts house founders. This has been going around the internet for a while, and again, it's like the Willy Wonka thing. It's ridiculous. You are crossing books that never are supposed to be crossed. It's ridiculous. I know where you're coming from, but it's absolutely ridiculous. They are not magical. They live in a magical land of Narnia, yes, but they are not magical people. And the founders came from all over Europe, and they weren't related, and literally came together and formed a school, and it's just ridiculous. 4. There are other animal languages besides Parseltongue. We don't know this for a fact. There's nothing in canon about it. Parseltongue's the only one we know. Also, I wouldn't exactly put it past the Wizarding World to have other languages, but as far as canon goes, no, there isn't. It's only Parseltongue, so yeah. I mean, I could see them developing something so they could speak to other animals and all that, but as far as we know, and as canon in the books and Pottermore goes, Parseltongue is the only language that is animal speaking. 3. Ron Weasley is Albus Dumbledore. I don't even know how they came up with this. There's no... How? It doesn't work. Dumbledore has an entire life, all the way back to like the 20s. And Ron lives an entire life with Hermione and their kids. When would he have time to go all the way back that far? Why would he go? And the way Dumbledore talks and the way that Ron is, and how Ron even makes comments about Dumbledore, and how he gets a little bit upset at him for not even telling Harry how to defeat the Horcruxes, just being really cryptic. There's no way. Molly Weasley literally carried and gave birth to him, not to mention Dumbledore's mother as well. I don't understand how people came up with this theory. It makes no sense whatsoever. Plus, with how old that Dumbledore is, for Ron to go all the way in the past that far and everything, Dumbledore met Gellert Grindelwald when he was in school at around 15, 16 years old, met in person at 17 years old. Ron got married to Hermione and had kids, and he was 19 years after her. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I don't know how this theory came up. It doesn't make sense. 2. Harry imagines the whole story. I hate this one so much. I could cry from anger. It makes me so mad. How dare you say that he made up this entire wonderful story all in his head, or it was just a dream? How dare you? This is the most beautiful, wonderful story, and he finally gets free of all the abuse, and he finally gets his freedom to live his life and go marry the girl he loves and have his own kids, and you're going to say that was all a dream, or he made it all up? How dare you? How dare you? I hate this one the most. I thought I hated Ron and Dumbledore, and I hate that one too, but this is the worst thing I've ever heard. Number 1. J.K. Rowling is Rita Skeeter. So, I can see where people thought this. I can see where it kind of got fun to think about, but again, also not true. because Rita Skeeter still goes on to work at the Ministry, and years later she actually writes an article about a Quidditch match that Ginny also has to write an article about because she works in the magical sports at the Ministry of Magic. So Rita Skeeter, it's actually really fun. On Pottermore, there's a whole article about this Quidditch World Cup, and it is the funniest, most fun read I think I've ever read on Wizarding World. You honestly should go look it up. It's hilarious. I love it. But not true, because she stays in the Wizarding World and she keeps doing exactly what she's been doing the entire time. And that news article, that Daily Prophet article, might be one of my favorite reads on Wizarding World. It's so funny. But I can understand where people got this theory from. It is a fun theory, but again, it is not true, but I don't mind this one and I think it's funny. Alright, so that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I have a few theories of my own, and theories are always fun. Like, there are some that I think are ridiculous, and there are some that I absolutely hate. But there are some theories out there that are so much fun, and I actually don't mind them. And I actually have a few of my own, so keep them coming. Honestly, if you guys have any theories that you want to leave in the comments, feel free to. I would love to read them. And hopefully it's not ones that are really, really common or popular, because a few of these ones, like the Rita Skeeter and the Ron as Dumbledore, I've already heard before, and they're so common that it's kind of annoying. I want something different. But there are also ones like the Veil and the Deathly Hallows and all that, and the Neville being obliviated and all that I hadn't heard before, which was actually kind of interesting and fun to see. So if you have any of those, please leave them down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye!